Assalamu alaikum. Welcome. We're just going to take a few more minutes and let a few more people in, and then we'll get started. Well, Assalamu alaikum. I'm just waiting a few more minutes and we'll get started. Assalamu alaikum. We're going to go ahead and get started. So, a lot of you don't understand stigmata is. So, let me explain to you what stigmata is. It is uh, a couple of marks on the body that is believed to be associated with the chosen one, Jesus Christ, peace be upon him. So, a lot of Christians and a lot of Christian Romans believe that stigmata is to do with the five wounds that Jesus Christ received. So that's not the case. That's part of it, but that's not the case. So I wanted to bring some clarity to this area. There was a whole movie done about stigma in 1999, where a young lady received some beads from her mother, and she went into stigmata, and she started to go through the same ailments or the same problems that Jesus was receiving on the cross. So, as Muslims, believe that Jesus died on the cross. So I wanted to highlight this, situation, and I wanted to shed some light on it. And I wanted to, also enlighten you on how I heal the situations, deal with when I deal with chosen ones who are going through these kinds of problems. So, if you're a chosen one, then you have problems in your life, and sometimes you will read the Holy Bible, you'll read the Holy Quran, and you will say, I resonate with that prophet. I'm going through the same thing that prophet is going through. As Joseph, let's take him for example, and we've covered him. Let's take Job, Ayub, peace be upon those prophets. So if you're going through those kinds of ailments and you're going through problems where your family has disregarded you, or you're going through, health problems and financial problems like Prophet Ayub, then you will receive, and I don't know why my keeps going blank, but you will receive problems in your life in the same manner. So that means that you are closely in that lineage, your prophet is, somewhere in your bloodline of your uh that chosen one that's going through those problems, as that resonating with not only, the problems that they're having, you're also resonating with the attitude that, the depression that, and the way overcoming that. Higher, you guys, do I believe that Jesus rose from the dead? No, we don't believe that Jesus rose from the dead. That's for Christians, but we do believe in Jesus. So, I just wanted to make that to you, that, I do believe in Jesus, and Jesus is a, so, what we about, you know, uh, is a stigmata. So if, you are having problems, I love Jesus too, Bruisey boy. If you're having problems like certain of the chosen ones in the, biblical times and in the Quranic times, then you want to be able to alleviate those problems. You want to be able to be victorious over your problems. You want to be able to overcome. So, a stigmata is not just only associated with Jesus. It could be associated with any prophet. You could, be line, you could be in the bloodline, or have, any problems associated with any prophet. And that's what we wanted to highlight today in our message. I see you have, it's literally God's name, me someone that can give the blind their sight. Okay, yeah. Well, and sometimes, we have people who can heal, and give people that kind of sight, if they're a chosen one. I thank you for that, Xavier. But we also want to be able to understand that, Jesus is a figure around the world, and Jesus is a special prophet around the world, and he means different things to different people. So, as being a Muslim, he is, a prophet, and he was sent from God. So, and that's how, we believe as Muslims. But we also want to understand there are also, things that have been left out of, the Christian text and the Christian Bible, or taken away from that. So we want to always, remember, or always learning and always trying to gather information about Jesus, about the prophets, and peace be unto all the prophets. So if you are in the lineage of, let's say, Job, and you're going through, problems with your health, you're going through problems, in your finances, problems with your children, that may or may not want to pray or go to church or go to the masjid, then, we have ways to alleviate that. For me, I have created, a Muhammad candle, because I couldn't find a Muhammad candle. To I tried to order a Muhammad candle several times and was unable to do so. I even, tried across the world to see if I could, order a Muhammad candle. I ended up creating my own Muhammad candle to relieve some afflictions that goes on with chosen ones who are having problems, and suffer, from stigmata, going through what other prophets have went through in their lineage. And I have been able to identify some of the prophets, in you know in times now. I have been able to identify some of the people who may be in the lineage with certain prophets, by what they're going through in their lives. So, some of the things that we have to, be able to relieve some of the suffering, or, ask God for help, and teach them how to ask God for help. Uh, he how would know that when Muhammad never met Jesus? Oh, okay, but we're not talking about if Muhammad ever Jesus, Xavier Perez. We're talking about, the prophets and the things that modern day people may go through, just like the prophets. So, and to stick with the topic is to make sure that when you're going through anything that, you might have to be relieved of from negative energy that might be associated with whatever is in your line. Some people call that generational curses. But when you are identified as, one of these problems may have been in your lineage, and you start going through, or somebody in your family starts to go through these problems, then a lot of people look for relief. When you have to be isolated and you can no longer be around your family, you have to leave, your land or your family, just like Jesus had to leave his land and family. Peace be upon Jesus. Then, what we want to do is to help the chosen one to be relieved of the negative energy that they're feeling, the anxiety, if they're losing family members, if they feel that sense of loss, just like Job lost all of his family, he lost some of his riches and things of that nature. So, we want to be able to help them out. And like I said, a Muhammad candle, because I could go again and find a Jesus candle, I could find a David candle, but I couldn't find a Muhammad candle. So I created the Muhammad candle so that I could help out chosen ones and help them to relieve that anxiety. When you light a candle, in your home, it relieves negative energy. It relieves, anxiety associated with whatever you're going through. You know, and we are able to pull through. We're just like that flame candle. We can ask God, to help us in our suffering and relieve our suffering, just as Job did. So, in further understanding, uh, yes, we love Jesus. Well, we love Jesus, but just like I said, this is not a religious channel that I'm here to push my beliefs off on someone. Xavier Perez. The only thing that I can tell you is that I be a Christian, and I love Jesus. I love Jesus as a prophet. I love Jesus as a Christian. But when you know better, you do better. So when I decided to become Muslim, then to look at Jesus, for the way that he is and for the way that he was situated as a human being, and being born of a woman, a man, and I believe that he died, on the cross, and we'll leave that to Christians. I'm not trying to take that away from you. You can believe whatever way you want to believe, but I'm just only letting you know what way I believe. So we'll move right along with our topic. That some of the divine lineage that the chosen ones will go through, you'll often sometimes John the Baptist, and absolutely met people who were, in that direct line, or were having the problems that John the Baptist had, either in their family, or by people who were up in society. So these are some of the things that we can use to alleviate some of our suffering and problem. And in saying that, the chosen one that is associated with that particular case that I'm talking about, his you know his family member was uh impaled. So we want to always be able, as a life coach, or offer whatever kind of relief to chosen ones, so that they don't become destitute, up on their dreams, give up on God's mission, and always try to give them whatever kind of help and relief in their mission we can give. Especially when we recognize that not only Jesus lineage that has a stigmata, but many of the prophets will have a stigmata and a lineage that after them, even in modern times now. In saying that, I like to use High John to Conquer in order to relieve the negative energy associated with, I don't know why this just keeps going dim, but I like to relieve that negative energy with High John to Conquer a role. And I do many things with the High John to Conquer robe. I do many things with the High John to Conquer bath to empower the chosen ones to, make sure that they have been relieved of any negative, and to, use that candle and use that High John to Conquer robe in order to, usher in the good, in order to maintain a mental state with the person, and life coaching them in they can keep going, giving them, Surah Muhammad in order to, give them that prayer. These are the things that we will go through, chosen ones. We have many, different kinds of problems and different kinds of things that, we do in our lives that will try to hinder us from our mission. But ultimately, just like Prophet Muhammad, will be able to overcome. And that's how we want to be, just like Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon Prophet Muhammad, in order to strengthen us, in order to make sure that, we're not running away from our problems. We're not trying to pass the buck on to somebody else, that we can see the problem in somebody else's life. We can, definitely point out the problem in somebody else's life, but we don't take accountability in our own life. We have to be able not frown upon whatever we're going through. We have to be able to overcome as chosen ones, because God has chosen us, given us the stigmata in our lives in order to, you know, um, in order to make us understand we are the chosen one. We have been handpicked in order to go the mission. We are the only ones that can complete this mission. The way that we have lived our lives has given us, a signature, light in the way that we move, that we encounter people, in the way that we use our light to help people. So, these are some of the things that I have, just made and used to help some of the chosen ones, some of the ones that I knew that were chosen ones. Upon first meeting them, I could their light. I could, also feel the way that they had, the sadness that they had, the things that they had been going through in their spirit. And, I created, some of these things as a help, give them relief, to let them know that the world is not over, and to let them know that God has chosen them for a reason, to bring that joy and to bring that happiness back. And, in the Holy Quran, it says, for, every problem, there is relief. So, we have to be reliant upon that. We have to know that in our spirit. We have to, give thanks to God, for every problem or situation that we're going through, to, give reverence and praise to God. So, why would I take my mask off? Stephen Hamaker, why would I do that? Why would I to do that for you? Okay, well, if the Quran is a fairy tale, nobody is asking you to believe in the Quran. Ask you to come on, this live. So, you can leave. You can leave. So, I just wanted to let you know that, nobody asked you to come on here and to disrupt. If you don't like it, why are you here? You know, you're karmic. So, I can't help you if you don't like the Holy Quran. I can't if you don't like my mask. Yours has already slipped. So I see you for who you are. You're here as a disruptor. So we're gonna keep moving in that the high conquer works really well in order to remove the negative energy from the chosen ones, in order to help them overcome overpower whatever situations, they may be going through. So we always want to, go through every healing method that we can, to alleviate chosen ones of the negative energy that they may be going through. Because, there are some chosen ones that go through addictions. And, not only as, wine and beer, liquor, they go through, real addictions with, drugs. They go through addictions with, porn, sex, and things of that nature. Pathetic, and give them something that is progressive to relieve them of the negative energy that they may be going. I like to use remedies. Um, well, again, Stephen Hammaker, you can be gone. It seems like that you're the only one that's saying something here. You're the only one that's saying that. So you came here to disrupt, but we know who you are. You're one of those, Agent Smiths. So that's the only thing that's crazy here. Everyone is here that they wanted to hear about a stigmata, and we appreciate everyone for coming and visiting. And you can leave if you want to. But, again, I also use other things for the chosen to help them in their distress when they're going through different kinds of addictions, when they're, coming off of addiction, in their stigmata, because, sometimes God has put these people, um, God has put these on a mission that they think is probably too tough for them to go through. They have been going through things in their lives that they being absolutely they're cut off from life. They're cut off from the food that they used to eat, that they're used to. They're cut off from wives, friends, family. So these are some of the things that we have to, help to relieve that stigmata. And this is how I do that. I do an addiction, a stop addiction kind of remedy, home remedy and tonic that I offer to some of the chosen ones who's going through that, who's going through the pain of going, who's going through the suffering of going through that, trying to get their life back on track. So these are some of the herbs, some of the remedies that I offer. And we have been talking about different herbs and things that were good to use in life. And today we're just going to make sure that we understand some of our people, some of the chosen ones will will definitely go through stigmata, and that means that you're going to go through hardships and the suffering that is associated with the prophet that's in your lineage. And when you go through that, you're going to not want to go back what you were doing, not going back to those people who didn't mean you any well, or relationship, or those family members. You want to make sure that you take care of your physical health. And there are different herbs and remedies that you can use in order to do that. Or you can reach out to me in order to do that in the description. And, we also want to make sure that we are reaching out and able to talk to other chosen ones, and we're reading about other chosen ones with what they went through. We want to make sure that we get other people's take and reach out to other people in holy places, the masjids in the church. We want to make sure that we're talking to those people and we're coming together to let somebody know that we're going through a hard time, and what's going on with you, even down to when you're going through it with your spouse. So we have things to alleviate those problems. We have things that we can definitely in our life coaching sessions talk about. And you can consultation, a one-on-one consultation with me, so that we can definitely address these kinds of issues that may come in your life when you're going through a stigmata, when you're uh when you're close to God, and you have to go through these hard tests, when you are royalty in the spiritual realm and you have to go through hard times that someone in your line may have through. And you can always look in your life and say, wow, I'm going through this, just like some of the women, the one women went through in God's time, in the time of God sending down his prophet, to Mary, Jesus' mother. So we always want to look at what they went through, the chosen one women, the chosen one men, and see what, how God helped to alleviate their. We want to always use the remedies that God sent down for them, you know. And it's said in the Holy Quran that when Mary was giving birth to Jesus, God told her the tree, and He sent ripe dates on her. So we always want to use those kind of remedies that was given to the prophets, the chosen ones, men and women. And you can see those kinds of things. You can read them for yourself in the Holy Quran. You can the Holy Bible and read them. You will need to go to Miriam, Surah Miriam, and read that for yourself, because some of the things that we need to know that is going on in life, where the people in the movie, the 1990 movie, may have gotten it wrong. They tried to do their best, but how can a negative person come good or give you good information? We always have to be very watchful and critical of those kind of people, especially in Hollywood or the movie industry, and people that also join our chat just to disrupt. These are some of the things that we have to do, is to be careful and to know what to do to relieve ourselves, know what to do to defend ourselves from, the stigmata, from the anxiousness, from the depression, from, any sicknesses that may be associated with that. So, you can always reach out to me at any time. You can book a session with me at any time to know some more of the relief that you can gain from certain kinds of herbs, from certain kinds of anxiety in your life, from certain kinds of ailments in your life, using what God has given us within the earth that is permissible for us to use. So um, one of the reasons that we as chosen ones need to be able to rely on each other is because we have been given this knowledge, and heritage of by God, his trees, his herbs, his shrubs, everything that comes from it, the oil, everything that comes from his earth is good for us, and we need to be able to use that to release ourselves and heal ourselves, and line up with those who know about these healing remedies and herbs, to attack the negative energy associated, with the avowed enemy Satan up against man, to be able to know how to relieve those attacks, those spells that, voodoo or whatever black magic that is associated with that negative energy. And what I'm recommending for us today, when we're going through a stigmata, when we have royalty in our line of a prophet, peace be upon all the prophets, then we are able to use our prophet Muhammad candles. We're able to use our high joint of conquer, and we're able to use our rubs and our oils created from those that hygiene to conquer oil and rub or bath associated with those herbs, to relieve that negative energy of psychic attacks, mental attacks, anxiety, depression, and things that may happen to you during this process of isolation. So I hope that this has been a great, no, a learning because a lot of people don't know what stigmata is. I hope that this has been a great takeaway for you. I hope that you can reach out to me and let me know what you think about this video. Reach out to me, leave a you can reach out to me in the description below and book a session. You can get a one-on-one consultation with me, and I really appreciate all of your support. You can donate to me. I'm High Oracle, Reiki spiritual healer. Assalamu alaikum.